don't be unbothered with a man. Be bothered. Be more bothered. Be bothered to his face. And I know some women out there need to focus more on emotional regulation and kind of not getting on the roller coaster of things. But for me, my trajectory of development in life is I'm actually working towards having more feelings. Like, I'm in the camp of girls who are raised to be like easy and needless. And I remember even just like being really young, like falling on the ground one time when I was out somewhere with my parents, and I didn't cry, and they picked me up and they said, "Oh my God, you're so brave. That's so great that you didn't cry." Like, all the messages that I got as a woman is that it's rewarded to not show feeling. And then later with guys, like, being a cool girl was not showing feelings. Like, I remember even my first boyfriend in high school, he said that I was like a self-cleaning oven, because he would do something that hurt me and I would be totally chill about it. And then I'd go and I'd reflect and I'd understand what hurt me. And I would come back to him and I would present it like this beautiful bow. Like, this thing hurt me, but I realize it's only because of this, and I still love you, and I know that you were only doing it because of this, and I totally get it. I wouldn't even have a request. I would basically just either absorb it and not say anything to him, or if I did say something to him, it was just about doing all of his work for him, about how I totally understand why he did that thing and why I was all better now. Why, in healing from all of this, my goal is to actually be as transparent as possible with men. As transparent about how I'm feeling, which also means being like free and clear of story if possible. Just being like very instinctual. Like, I like that. I didn't like that. That felt good. That didn't feel bad, right? Not even just the bad stuff, like the full spectrum of feeling. Because I feel like the more that we can be transparent and just kind of show a man the impact that he's having on us and what we're actually feeling, the more it gives like the systems intelligence, the data that it needs. So the two things that are key here are, one, also trying to get as close to the incident as possible. So like as soon as it happens, and this is hard, especially if you're like me and you have a lifetime of numbing yourself to your feelings, where then like a week later you'll be like, why do I feel so depressed? And it's like, oh, because that thing actually really hurt. You know, it can be hard to get back to the incident. Like if I'm really excited to share something with a guy and he's just kind of like, yeah, okay. Being like, oh, that actually doesn't feel good. You don't need more story than that. Like, you don't need to be like, oh, that doesn't feel good because that's the way that my mother used to treat me. No, you can just be like, oh, that didn't feel good. And then you can be like, if you need anything more, try and get like in the moment as possible. Like, I was really excited to share with you and it felt like you weren't excited to hear it. And the second thing that's really important is getting into that place where you're actually observing what he does with it. I think of this as like Stoicism for the girlies, because you're accepting the facts. Don't be like me. Don't fight with reality. Don't bargain. Don't try and tell the man, oh, if only I explain enough. Maybe he doesn't fully understand what I'm feeling enough. Maybe if only he could really see it from my point of view. Maybe only if I pay attention to him and provide him the kind of healing so that he actually has some frame of reference for what it means to be loved and empathized with. All of that is bargaining with reality. All of that is refusing to grieve. Like if you say to a guy, oh, that hurts my feelings, if he does anything in that realm of like defensive, dismissing, blah, 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 and doesn't come back around to be like, oh, I'm sorry that you were feeling hurt. That's all you need to know. And unfortunately, that's what you need to accept. It's like noticing what he does when he knows that something hurts you, and noticing what he does when something brings you joy is so much of the data that you need in order to determine what level of access to you he's going to have. And this joy thing is important too. Like my girlfriend just went through a breakup, and this guy who she was with, who was such a fucking bare minimum kind of guy, but he wasn't doing anything bad. And he like seemed like a great guy. That's why it's not how guys seem. Like, sure, he was like, I don't know, had a job and like some extracurricular activities, but he wasn't treating her well. And this one time in the beginning when he was still wooing her, he like knew that she had a stressful day, and so he like got dinner ready and had dinner ready for her when she came home. And she was so happy that she cried. She cried at like how amazing it was that this guy would get her dinner. And then he never did it again. And that tells you a lot. Like if a guy knows that something would just make you so happy that you cry and chooses not to do it, that's the amount of love that he's willing to pour in. That's how much he's considering you. That's how invested he is in your joy and happiness. And at the time, of course, you said, oh, it's fine, it's fine. Like you don't think of these things by omission. These things that seem so crazy, like, oh, he's never brought me little gifts or like written me a sweet little note just because. You know, our standards are so freaking low. But then now that they're broken up, she says it like tearfully, like he did that thing in the beginning and then he never did it again. And I think that just shows you these things, they actually cut really deep. Pouring your love into someone who's unwilling to do something that would bring you joy, the omission of it, the fact that that's what he's doing with that information, actually lodges itself so deep in your wounding. She was bothered. That bothered her.